Hi, I'm Melanie Coakley, owner of Embroidery FX in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I want to thank you for tuning into this video, and if you've purchased the pressing mats already, this is kind of an instructional video for you. If you haven't, then it's kind of a demo for you. So let's explain these. As a commercial embroiderer for over 32 years, I realized that it was very important for my embroideries to look perfect. I didn't want them puckered. I didn't want them to be bulletproof. I wanted to have the most soft, supple, easy to care for embroideries that could be produced. So in my training, I knew early on that when I was tailoring, that in order for a man's suit coat to curve and stay in shape with his shoulders, that they were heat set. The stabilizer, the wool, everything was heat set on a curved pressing ham. Well, most people don't know what a curved pressing ham is today, and so I took that knowledge of pressing on wool in a curve and took it to a flat surface so that I could have the most beautiful embroideries. So for example, this is normally the kind of work in our commercial business that we do, and these are just left chest logoed shirts. So when they started puckering, I realized that it wasn't so much the fabric, it wasn't so much the thread, it wasn't the stabilizer, it was that you had taken something that was perfectly happy and flat as a piece of fabric, and you pounded 6,000 to 15,000 stitches in it, and then you stood back and wondered why it puckered. And so what I realized is that in that process it wasn't finished. And so I created these 100% wool pressing mats. They come in two sizes, 14.5 and 6. And when you're finished with your embroideries, I lay them on top of a wool mat, and you can either do it with the embroidery up or the embroidery down, does not matter. And I heat set for about 4 to 5 seconds. When you do that, the puckers are eliminated and you have nice soft embroidery. When you throw it in the washer and the dryer, many of you have seen what I call bacon embroidery. It kind of looks like this, and you don't want your embroideries to look like that. So the mat is cushioned just enough that when you press those embroideries, the threads kind of go down into the mat. We're not crushing them, but we are heat setting them, because when your embroidery machine makes those loops of threads, it goes down, curves to the back, and you can actually see the tension is pulling the top thread to the back of the embroidery. So in that process, you want to be able to heat set those embroidery threads, meaning crease them, build memory into them so that they know exactly where to stay. We no longer want bacon or curvy or wavy embroidery. So we have heat set our embroideries over the years, and our customers keep coming back to us over and over and over. So this is the set, 14.5 and 6. In the process of me showing the wool mats over the years, I've had quilters come to me and tell me how awesome these mats are for their quilting. So I would have them indicate to me what they're using them for. So they would share with me that for their half square triangles, and you've all been down this road, you've done your half square triangle and you want to press open your seam. Now what I want you to pay close attention to is that when I'm pressing that seam open, the wool is actually gripping my fabric. It is not moving, it's not shifting, it is staying perfectly in place. And we all know that it's not fun to have your half square triangles get wonky on you. So we don't want wonky half square triangles. So it grips your fabric, it holds it in place, and it doesn't stretch or let it go out of shape. If you're doing binding for a quilt, we all know how tough that can be, and so I'll demonstrate here that when you fold your bindings in half and you want to press them perfectly in half, you see how the wool mat is holding that binding perfectly in shape, so that all I have to do is line up the edges and press. The wool actually holds the heat. If I lift this mat up right now, you would be able to feel a cool table. The reason for that is wool traps heat. It doesn't let it go through. Now, if you use it for 8 hours, sure, your table's going to start to feel warm. But if you're working on an ironing board, just as you purchase them from a store today, what happens is your heat goes through the cover, it goes through the foam, it goes through the grid on the ironing board, and your heat dissipates onto the floor. That's not what you want to have happen. You want to have your heat to be reflected back up to you so that when you press something, you're getting your maximum heat to be able to do your bindings, to be able to do your heat setting of your embroideries. We've also recently come out with the smaller size mat, and that is because so many hats, when you embroider them, just look awful. They feel awful, they don't feel smooth. And so we've come up with these so that you can put them inside your hat and you can heat set your hats. Now, yes, that's what you saw me do. You can actually press on your hand because the wool has the heat and it's not going through and burning my hand. So I just want you to understand the importance of the mats. They come in those sizes. The cool thing about this is that we also custom cut for any size table that you want to work on. If you're working on a TV tray, a lot of ladies don't want to have to get up and down to go to the ironing board. So if you're working from a TV tray, or any small table, or you have a large table set up next to your sewing machine, then it's very easy for you to sew, make your seams, and then turn left or right to your L-shaped workstation with your wool mat on top and press your seams open. I've been to quilting retreats where they had to get up and you're standing in line with 15 people waiting to press the seam open on an ironing board. These days you can take your wool mat, your little small travel iron, put it next to your sewing machine, and you can heat set, and for most people it's easier if you have your mat next to you. So sorry about the telephone. People are calling in their orders now. So the next thing I would like to share with you is that we also have the best grade Teflon that you can use for any type of project where you're using adhesives. These are made out of 100% wool, your mats, and so you don't want to get adhesive on them. So if you're using Stitch Witchery or glue sticks or anything that is adhesive, then you want to make sure that you cover or protect your wool with the Teflon. And the Teflon has been cut to fit the two custom set sizes that come together. You want to make sure that you cover up the adhesive and that you protect your iron, because you don't want the adhesive to get on the bottom of your iron either. Those come in a set as well, and they are custom cut for the mats. The next thing I discovered is that a lot of the quilters were using Mary Ellen's Best Press, or they were using starch or sizing or something where they were spraying their fabrics. And so over a course of time, what happens is your spray starch, once it comes in contact with heat, will start to turn brown. So we don't want your wool mat, which is going to last you a lifetime, to be crusty brown color. So we've come up with mats, covers for the mats, and you can see both sizes have a batik cover for them, and we have several different covers to select from. But it's batik on one side, and then on the other side we've incorporated the Teflon. So the Teflon side is what you use to protect and keep the glue off of your mat. Then you would put your fabric down and then put your other piece of Teflon on top to protect the glue from getting to your iron. So that's how you use the Teflon. That's how you protect and cover them up. When you're not using the covers and you just want to have your wool mat, then all you have to do is slide the cover off. So it's a very easy cover to slide on and off. Now, because of the quilters, we have added additionally the gridded flannel so that you can lay your half square triangles on there or your 10 by 10 squares. Now it's not a measuring grid, but it does let you see if your square is squared up or if it's lined up or in place, but we still encourage you to measure and use your rotary cutters and your square rulers to make sure that everything is perfectly square for you. But we do have these wonderful gridded covers to go with it. We then realized through a lot of the emails that we were getting that we have a lot of Cricut and Cameo customers. Any kind of cutting where you're actually doing the heat transfer vinyl, it needs to be heat set on. We note that it is very, very important that you get the right amount of temperature when you're doing heat set vinyl. If you don't use the right temperatures, you take them out of the dryer and they fall off. So we don't want you to have that happen. So you can take your small wool mat and you can put it in the smallest of areas. This is like a 9-month-old onesie. Now this one's already adhered on there, but at least you can see how by using the smaller 6x6 mat that putting your Teflon on top of this, now you can heat set that heat transfer vinyl on there, and regardless of the washing conditions or the dryer conditions, that's not going to come off. So it's very, very important that you understand the importance of the wool, its heat holding qualities. It saves your energy from going down onto the floor. It gives you a perfect press. If you're trying to do your squares of your quilt and make sure that your points are perfect and they're perfectly lined up, it's very, very important to use the wool mats. Now, for those of you that have purchased the 14.5s and the 6-inch sets, it's really cool to let you know that we now custom cut for any shape, any size mat that you need. So you notice that I've been working on this cutting table that has been, the leaves have actually been folded down, but I have this 18.5 by 39.25 mat that I specifically cut for this tabletop, so that no matter how big or how long my quilt binding is, or how large my shirt is, or if I'm working on a quilt, then I have my entire surface covered with 100% wool mat. If you're wanting a custom cut set of mats or individual mat, then please trace, turn upside down your ironing board or whatever it is that you want to cover with the wool. Trace it on a piece of tissue paper or newsprint that you've taped together and send that to Embroidery FX at 3444 Ringgold Road, and that's Chattanooga, Tennessee 37412. You can call us at 423-629-6411 and just let us know what sizes you need, and we can give you a custom quote based on the materials used and get that sent out to you as quickly as possible. Make sure you take care of your mats. They are 100% wool. You can use steam or dry iron when using them. If you're using steam, note that they are wool, so they're going to smell like wool. So don't be afraid of that. It's just that it is made of wool. They will last you a lifetime. Take care of them. Don't let your cats get on them. You will notice that cats are drawn to these mats, so make sure that you keep them covered up or keep the door locked, because the cats will like to get in there and claw at the wool. So enjoy your mats. They're going to last you a lifetime. Put them in your will. Make sure that the Quilt Guild gets them if your family doesn't know what to do with them. Thanks.